Hey guys, Big Daddy Liberty coming to you from Pretoria, just outside the Littleton police station. If you've been watching some of the vlogs I did, you'll know exactly perhaps why I'm here. I'm here to basically cover the fellas from Afriforum and a police union or a police-based organization who are here to lay charges against Julius Malema, the leader, of course, of the economic freedom fighters, who, as you'll know, this past Sunday, in a little rally in the Free State, effectively incited violence against the police, and specifically individual members of the police, citing, of course, in fact, let me not waffle away, this is exactly what he had to say.
South African police want a fight, they must declare it. We will treat them the same way we treated them in the 80s. We will not only fight them at the picket lines, we will go to their homes and fight them in their own houses with their own families. We're not scared of police. They think this uniform gives them some superior power. We will see you after you take off the uniform at night at home when you are about to eat pap. Bloody coward. Will come for you one by one at your own comfort zone. We will teach you that no one can defeat the power of the masses. Not a policeman, not a police state, not a military state, not a dictatorship. Once the masses have taken a decision, no one will defeat them.
Again, a direct threat against not only the police as an institution, but also the individual members, and what made it even more disgusting for me is that he targets and seeks to target their family members. Anytime you say that, hey, I'll come to your house once you've taken off the uniform and, as you're sitting with your family eating pap, I'll come after you, that tells you a very sad story around the state of our politics and the fascist nature of the EFF. So, welcome to the Big Daddy Liberty Show. I'm going to show you exactly what happened here today. We're going to have a conversation, of course, with Ernst Roets and Renate Barnard. These are two individuals who will be laying the charges today. You're watching the Big Daddy Liberty Show. Let's get that conversation going. Ernst, thank you very much for joining us on the Big Daddy Liberty Show. Of course, we're out here to cover you guys at Afriforum and Solidarity who are going to be laying charges. What exactly are the charges that you'll be laying? Why is this important?
Well, we are here to file criminal charges against Julius Malema for incitement of violence, conspiracy to commit crime, and also intimidation. And there's actually also a case of sedition to be made here for his comments made recently in Brackenfell in which you can spin it this way or the other way, but it's quite clear what he said and what he meant by what he said when he spoke about going to police officers' homes at night while they are sleeping and attacking them and their families. And it's something that we take very seriously, and it should be taken very seriously.
Ernst, someone watching this might be thinking, but, there's so many charges that have been laid against this guy. Nothing seems to be happening. How is this any different, and why is this even important to you guys?
Well, firstly, in terms of why it's important, and that goes to the concern that people have, is Julius Malema and some other politicians in this country seems to think that he's above the law.
Yeah.
And what's more concerning is he actually gets the message that he is above the law because he makes these type of statements and comments, and we don't see him properly being prosecuted. That's on the one hand. That's why it's important to push issues like this and cases like this. But then with that also, we have seen with our cases against him and with the private prosecutions unit that there is progress to be made. And I think we must be patient. We can be the justice system isn't moving as quickly as we wanted to. Mm-hmm. But there are many cases against Malema. One is the assault case at Winnie Madikizela Mandela's funeral when he assaulted that police officer, and he's actually in court now for that. And there wasn't really progress in that matter until our private prosecutions unit became involved, and then the prosecuting authority basically had to make a decision. Either Afriforum's going to prosecute him or they are going to prosecute him, and then they said, no, let us prosecute him. So there is progress in that matter. There is progress in the matter of that political rally where he took that firearm and fired some shots into the air. So there is going to be a prosecution on that. It's just slow, and it's concerning that it's slow. The bad news is that it's slow, but the good news is that it's not. There's nothing happening, and I think we're going to see justice in both those cases. And I think this one he really overstepped a line because he basically offended everyone. Everyone's mad at him because he's encouraging violence against the police.
And that's the kicker, isn't it? And I wanted to have that quick conversation with you because there's a philosophy behind this. And I know that's a weird thing to say because on this show, we're free speech advocates. Right?
Yes.
Now, I would always argue that even if someone says something outlandish, free speech trumps that. But there is a line, and that line is when you incite violence, and that's where Malema has crossed the line, hasn't he?
Yeah, free speech is obviously it's fundamental. It's one of the cornerstones of a healthy democracy, and it's something that we should cherish. But we must understand free speech in context. It doesn't mean that you can say whatever you want without any limits, because what's happening here is he's actively encouraging violence, and that's a line. And I think there should be room for hate speech legislation and dealing with hate speech. And the proper way to define hate speech, to really boil it down to a very simple definition, is to say when you target people based on their identity, such as their religion or their ethnicity or their culture and so forth, and you, after targeting people based on their identity, you incite violence against such a group, that is hate speech. And that I don't think you can claim that you have free speech and therefore you can encourage violence against. You cannot say, let's go and attack the Christians or let's go and murder the blacks or kill the whites or whatever. That's hate speech, and that's not. And it's the same case with Malema, and the same case with the police now. What he's saying is he's encouraging violence against the police.
Dude, maybe final sort of 3 questions or so, because I want you to set this out for me in a lucid way, and I know you can always do that. Talk to me perhaps about, maybe you're the average police person, or maybe you're the average citizen, and you listen to Julius Malema speak in a insightful, hateful way almost every day. Anytime the media picks him up, it's always something outlandish and really the inciting of violence. The response from the police, maybe have they come to you guys, maybe some members, behind, closed doors and said, guys, please take this on, or whatever the case may be? Because some may argue that, the police are very quiet on this issue because they're not being represented by their minister right now, are they?
Yes, that's why we are here with Solidarity. So we are here from a civil rights perspective, especially the issue that we just spoke about, free speech and hate speech, and where is that line, and politicians acting as if they are above the law. Solidarity is here as a union, as a trade union representing police officers. And Renate Barnard, who's here on their behalf, will tell you that they've received just yesterday, I think within a matter of hours, they received 1,000 messages from police officers telling them, listen, we are very concerned about this, we need to do something. So they are here to represent the police officers as well, which is why it's 2 organizations filing the complaints together.
Absolutely. Final question, Ernst. You guys are, in my book, one of the leading organizations, civic organizations fighting for the rights of citizens in this country. I want to put something to you, and I want you to address it directly, because I know this is going to be in my comment section as people are watching this. I'll have the usuals who come out and then say, well, there you go. Afriforum, we're just there to fight for the Afrikaner, the Boers, the whites. Yes. And that this issue, Julius didn't really intimidate anybody or threaten anybody. It's just you whites going after him, blah, blah, blah. Please dismantle that argument. And why is this genuinely a civic or civil rights issue and really a liberty issue?
Well, it is a civil rights issue and a liberty issue, because the police are... Look, if the state... There's this big debate about what is the role of the state and how far should they reach extend. But I think something that everyone can agree on in terms of the role of the state is that if there is a state and if they have to do only one thing, it is to keep their citizens safe. Absolutely. You can talk about regulation of the economy and you can talk about all these other policy issues. None of those things are as important as keeping people in the country safe. And what Malema is doing now is he's encouraging violence against the police, which is the state institution that is supposed to keep the people safe. So it goes back to the basic fundamental thing about the police. And also I have a suspicion he wasn't talking, not only I have the suspicion, if you go and look at his speech, he wasn't talking about white police officers. Exactly. So I think people who are particularly threatened here are black police officers. And the reason why I'm saying this is because he spoke about about the 1980s and the struggle against apartheid, when it was particularly black police officers who were targeted more than white police officers. And he said that they're going to do it in a similar fashion. So it's not a white and black issue. This is an issue about keeping people safe, and a politician he's not the most influential politician in the country. He's not running the country, and we must keep that perspective. But he is a very influential politician, and there are a lot of people in this country who take him very seriously, and that is why it's something that we also take very seriously.
Absolutely, dude. All the best. Again, we'll be watching this on. We'll follow you guys on this particular issue, because again, it does come to it really is a matter of preserving the very institutions that actually do matter and that rightfully belong to the state, and that is the police. The idea of preserving life, liberty, and property rights, which is a key role of the police. So kudos to you guys. We'll be watching this one, and all the best. Thanks, Ernst.
Thank you very much.
That's Ernst Roets, of course, who is from Afriforum. After this, a conversation with Renate Barnard, who is from Solidarity, around their reasons for opening a case today. Renate, welcome to the Big Daddy Liberty Show. I just finished my conversation with Ernst, and I asked him a question around why Solidarity was here. Why is it important for you guys also to open this case? Why is it important for you and your members?
We were inundated since Monday about police officers countrywide, and I can say all ranks and all race groups. They were very upset about the comments that Julius Malema made on a platform. It was shared via all the social media platforms, and the threats that he made. So about in a half a day's time, we had about more than 1,000 members complaining and requesting solidarity, and not all of them are Solidarity members, but they are police officials, and they say, listen, nobody's listening to their voice of fear, because they are worrying. They're worrying about themselves, about the family, about their property. So I know the minister condemned it, but I mean, they didn't really take any action. And Pop Crew, which is one of the recognized unions in the police, they said no, they want to debate this issue with Julius Malema, and there's no time for debate. I mean, he committed serious crimes. Sedition is one of them. I mean, police officers are representatives of the state. Right. So he's actually making threats against the state. Police officers are there to uphold the law, to ensure that we are all safe and secure in South Africa, and to threaten them. I think he definitely crossed the line, and we are representing the police officers. We are standing up for them. We are about 5 charges from Solidarity side are being registered today, and then we are also making a plea on the police top management to send this docket to the crimes against the state team that's been that falls under the Hawks, so that it can get the proper attention that it deserves.
Absolutely, and I was so eager to butt in there, because for me, where it made me angry, I won't lie, is he actually overtly threatened the family members of SAPS officials. The idea that he'll come to you once you take the uniform off and he'll meet you in your house, with your family. Talk to me about how this registers on a very personal level for police members, and maybe give me insight into some of the messages. You don't have to name anybody, but what is some of the nature of the messages that the members sent to you guys?
Big Daddy, just to give a little bit of background, I was also a police officer.
Right.
I grew up in a policeman's house. I know the police culture. I know the police. I was brought up in a police home, so I love my members. I am also from Solidarity side. I'm mainly organising in the South African Police Service, even though we are not a recognised union. So some of my closest family and also some of my friends are police officers, and I can tell you they are taking it very, very seriously, especially the people working in the POP units, because they are on the front lines. They are being mocked every day. And I mean, there's video footage, how it goes. People are quick to just take it out of context. So those people are furious. They are living in fear, because it is already a very dangerous job to be a police officer. I mean, if you look at the rate of killings in the police, suicides also, because they are fearing. People are taking out, some police officers are taking out the whole family. And now this is only an extra burden on them. So especially the pops guys, they came to me, people from the flying squad that's there in the open, that's wearing uniform. So they say, no, it's unacceptable. And you can touch a police officer, but don't touch the family.
Absolutely.
And he did it, and it's not only white people. If you want to make it a white narrative, I can tell you equally, all race groups are fed up for him, and they say the enough is enough.
Absolutely. And again, you've hit the nail on the head. Maybe my final two questions, for me, the irony about this entire thing was that he literally goes off and incites violence against and threatens police officers simply because they upheld the law. Because this obviously stems from what happened in Brackenfell, where, by the way, shout out to public order policing out in Cape Town, man. They dealt with that real well. But, this obviously stems from what happened in Brackenfell with the public order policing. Officers who are literally upholding the law and doing the right thing, now meeting up with a politician, the leader of the third largest political party in the country, inciting violence against them almost as individuals and against their families. Talk to me about the psyche of, are our police officers being supported by their top brass, like, top management, and specifically their politicians, like Bheki Cele? Are they getting the sort of support that actually says, you know what, we're backed by our leaders and we can take on someone who threatens us like this?
No, Big Daddy, it is a shocking situation. And that escalated to the rest of the police force, and especially the people working in in the public order policing, because all eyes are on them. So whether they do something, then it's not right, then they are criticized by Julius Malema and the like. And if they do nothing, like that time in Joburg when they left because they did not have the proper equipment, then the public say, how the hell can you just leave? So from all sides there are criticism. And also I think it was in the Senekal incident where Julius Malema was talking about the stinking boots of this one police official, and you know what, that is touching them. They are being criticized. The police is in shambles at this stage, and I mean they are competent and committed, loyal police officers, and for them we are making a stand and say, listen, we need public support. And also the Human Rights Commission actually commended the way in which the Brackenfell incident was being handled, and now somebody like Julius, because it does not fit his narrative, now he is criticizing and he's making threats. I mean, if it was any other person, he would have been arrested by now. Support from top management, limited.
Renate, maybe as a final question, talk to me about the charges that you're going to lay here today. Just some of them. What exactly are we going to see? And you can take your time just to open your file up.
Okay, please. As I explained, the one is the most serious complaint is the sedition case, and then because he intentionally and unlawfully took part in a concourse of people violently or by threats of violence, challenged, defied or resisted the authority of the state, in that he made specific threats of violence against all SAPS members being official representatives of the state, and their families and property. Then assault by means of threats, also intimidation. I know he's challenging some of the clauses of the Regulation on Public Gatherings Act. We have a section there that we are also charging him with, and then also the Riotous Assembly Act 1956. I know he says it's an apartheid legislation, but it's charges against him. That's the majority of the charges, and I can tell you, Big Daddy, if you look at the charges and what he did there, then I cannot see that the NPA can decline to prosecute. If they would decline to prosecute, then we will definitely divert to private prosecutions.
Absolutely. Renate, all the best of luck. Solidarity are, again, representing their members quite well, and I wouldn't be surprised if, ordinary police officers backed you guys quite aggressively and said, yes, please protect us and our rights and our duty, of course, as police officers. Renate, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Big Daddy. It's a pleasure, and It's an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Guys, that was Renate Barnard from the union, Solidariteit. Again, she's absolutely correct, The voice of ordinary police officers was lost in this because maybe they aren't the power brokers, they aren't, the people in the limelight, etc., etc. But they're being threatened by people who hog the limelight, who have the loudest voices in society. And as I always say, the loudest voice in the room is the weakest voice in the room. Well, there you have it. I think you got a strong sense of why this is important and why, if you're someone like me who believes in upholding the rule of law and that a democracy, an actual functioning democracy, a liberty-leaning democracy that we want to be as South Africans, should have and should see the protection of those state institutions that matter. The police are one state institution that really matters. You guys know me. I'm a classical liberal libertarian, if you want to call me that. And there's three roles of the state. Number one is to protect us, the citizenry, from foreign aggression. The idea of a potential foreign army invading. You should have an army, a standing army in this country, a diplomatic corps that protects us. Number two is to protect us from domestic threats. And this is where the police play a role. This is where the correctional services play a role. Insofar as protecting the citizens' life, liberty, and property rights, the police play a critical role in that. Now, as to whether our police are at a high standard consistently, that's a separate matter. The fact is, though, we have a police force in this country that should be protected and increasingly, and more pertinently rather, should be protecting us as citizens. And in that particular vein, kudos to Afriforum, kudos to Solidarity for actually laying these charges to protect our police officers. That's the first. That's the second role of the state, of course. The last one is to, of course, mediate our disputes. We are a country of nearly 60 million people, 11 different languages, multiple cultures. Of course, there'll be some disagreement amongst us as citizens. That's why we have a judiciary that then mediates our disputes and keeps law, helps us preserve law and order. Those are the three roles of the state. And that's why, for me, it is important that those three roles, insofar as they're represented by our police officers, are defended and protected. So shout out to Afriforum, as I said, man, who are laying these charges today and defending those police officers. And again, I want to make the Minister of Police, BDL, and Pop Crew, the largest police union in this country, my mumish of the week. I'm going to call them the mumish of the week, because where are they in protecting their members? Where are they right now in protecting their members? I would have much rather have seen me rocking up here at this police station because BDL is laying the charge, or Pop Crew, the biggest police union at the moment, laying these charges against Julius Malema, who threatened their members and their families. So it's absolutely shameful that the ones who claim to protect and stand for the police are not here to do exactly that, to protect our institutions that we share as South Africans. So with those thoughts, let me maybe end it off here. If you are a police officer watching this, have a good look as to who stands with you and who stands for you when your chips are down, and when the chips are down for you guys. When politicians, and specifically the leader of the third largest political party in this country, threatens you and your families, who came out here to defend you guys and support you guys? Have a close look at that, and then you make a decision as to who you support in terms of who can represent you guys. That's my view on this. The other view, of course, being defend yourselves. I made mention of this, sorry guys, it's a hot day. I made mention of this in a vlog that I did in the run-up to this episode, is that you are the police officers in this country. You are here to enforce the law, and the state empowers you guys with the tools to do exactly that. You guys are armed. Protect yourselves, protect your families, and protect, of course, your responsibility to us as citizens. Do not let these red in tooth and claw fascists and communists threaten you and threaten us as South Africans. On that particular note, a reminder, therefore, to you that you can support the Big Daddy Liberty Show, you can support my work, and help put diesel in that bucky over there to get me around to these stories. All the information of how you can support me is in the link from PayPal, Patreon, and of course direct EFT to make a contribution. Guys, I'm at a loss of words slightly at just how annoying and how this registers on a personal level to me, because I've always said this, I stand for faith, flag, family and freedom, and to then hear a politician threaten the family members of fellow South Africans, it really irks me beyond, it makes me angry. It doesn't irk me, it makes me angry. And I hope you guys see why I hold very little regard for those who sprout the leftist and communist ideas in this country. And with that being said, a reminder to you to hashtag never trust a commie.